Hello and welcome back to our continuing adventures on the Let's Defend platform. I am following the Security Analyst Path, and we have, apparently somehow we missed an event from January 31st, 2021, which I think this is just basically something new that's been added, and not that we effectively missed anything, but whatever. This is a medium. Rule name is SOC115, Wscript.exe Usage is dropper, EventID is 47, type is malware. And so we are given a zip file which extracts out to a VBS file. And let me get that pulled up just to show. Yep, injector.vbs. And so that should be coming through now. A bunch of just up arrows, then vertical boxes, and the like. And almost like this is like some sort of padding. And then we actually get some code that we can actually sort of read. Not very easily, though. There'd be a lot of reverse engineering that we probably have to go through and do on this. Since it looks like it's going through and trying to grab. Force you to do math and then take that to be the character count. Or the character, so number would be some other actual letter. I guess technically if I'm bored, go through and try to work on that, but we may not have to depending. So we're going to go ahead and take that back off. And so first things first, like always with any sort of file sample, I've already got it in there and I've already gone through and refreshed. And so we've got 15 out of 58 AV engines currently detecting this sample. So I would say, and they all seem to be fairly on the point in terms of it's either heuristic detection for VBS. So file name does match injector. Execution parent, huh? Sure. What was seen dropping this before? Some sort of... So an EXE? This is what we should be maybe potentially looking for? Or maybe some crappy actor managed to snag a copy off of an infected machine, turned around, and it's like, okay, I can take just the VBS portion and do something with it. Oh, geez, that's 3 years ago. Okay, let's go ahead and get that brought up. And then we can, of course, go through and take a look at log management for the... This is what, DanielPRD, right? Yep. Of course, device action was allowed. So, any desk, and nada. Oh wait, those are January 1st. Those don't count, because this is 31st. And what do we have? Execution time was listed as 6:14. Well, that's the alert time. But a minute before that, we have our DanielPRD system reaching out to 105, 103, 235, 204 over port 2017 with no raw data. So Let's take a look. Is this on anybody's crap list? Telecom Algeria. So we're kind of the point of asking, are we doing business with anybody in Algeria? Do we have salespeople go out there to sell whatever it is that the organization is actually doing? Of course, it'd probably be the more aspect of trying to reach out to the end user themselves and find out if they know of anything, but since there doesn't really seem like there's a central reporting infrastructure outside of the SIEM and everything else like that, but some sort of team to talk to in regards to, okay, people that are traveling. Oh, it's been a little bit since I actually had to go through and run this stuff down. So I do apologize that this video's late. I did send out a tweet that there wasn't going to be a video. Well, it is, or was, this past Wednesday, as per the normal. So that would have been July 13th. Work's been kind of crazy, and they rolled out immersive labs. So I've been working my butt off in that to sit there and just work on stuff. Dynamic IPs according to IBM X-Force. Take that with a grain of salt. And how about IP void? I think we'll have a fairly decent coverage at that point. And another Algeria, but no worthwhile threat intel. Any other blacklists? Just in the event that virus totals end up to date? No. So maybe just target of opportunity or what the case is, but. And of course, the big thing, port 2017, is there some sort of general usage that I'm not aware? No, not wine. That doesn't help me. Speed guide usually has something. So boot client. Again, not much of anything that's overly helpful, but that there is at least something observed. Okay, endpoint. DanielPRD, Windows 10, so browser history. What is cybersecurity? Career advice. What are the steps to be a cybersecurity professional? What are the steps of getting into the cybersecurity sector? Is it worth doing cybersecurity degree? And then a bunch of things in the Y Combinator. This would be, so what? That's 721 to 729. Give or take an hour past the point that the alert would have triggered. Did you realize that you got popped there, Daniel? No command history. Network connections. All technically an hour past the point. It's interesting, though, that none of this is recorded in log management. Of course, they could just entirely be frivolous portions, but out of an abundance of caution, M5 hosting. I mean, it's only 2 IPs, so let's go through and let's just run them through everything to see as to whether or not if we get any sort of flashing or smoking gun. Interesting AV detection ratio for a bunch of antivirus detections for news.y Combinator. Let's grab the other one, the 3.223. That's AWS. And of course, really would love to know is like how long ago this was. March. Let's extend it out. Was there anything going on roughly about the time of January? (2021). Not so much. The closest aspect would be the February 6, 2021, without any sort of actual detection for that stuff to stem off from. So this might effectively just be, it's kind of iffy traffic as it sits. So that's the Quora stuff. So that kind of matches up with what we ended up seeing. Yeah, the Quora stuff, and then the news.y Combinator then would cover the 209, 216, 230, 240. But we'll cover all of our bases just to say that we've can at least make a claim that yes, we've done due diligence and everything is, at least according to external threat intelligence, all good. But while we're on that subject, what about internal threat intelligence that we're getting here? We'll be looking for stuff around 2021. How many results do we have? 24. Could we sort them by date? And so we'd be looking at late 2020, which I'm not seeing much of anything here. The day before, but we see no connections to the 193.239.147.32. And then everything that went through January 2021, I'm not seeing anything that looks 177. Nope, nothing that really stands to reason. So the internal threat intelligence feed hasn't been overly helpful in this regard, but that's okay. Then the typical thing of let's take a look at emails around that time. And we do have a email for January, but it's going to Richard, not Daniel. And I believe that there was already an exercise that basically centered around all of this. So this isn't what we're looking for. The process list. So there's definitely local temp injector.vbs for Wscript. So of course the big question is, where the hell did it come from? It just somehow magically appeared on the system? But given the fact that this thing was allowed and everything else that's been done, we're just going to request containment. Just because of the fact of what we've looked at, we have enough indications that obviously there is something not good going on here. I don't suppose we'll get like a actual full-blown of what this thing's actually trying to do. No other things. So I guess if we really want to sit there and make a full-on determination, we'd have to go through and try to reverse the VBS file. Oh. I don't know as to whether or not if we actually need to go that far, though. So I gave it a quick skim beforehand, but notice how we have all the stuff up here. Apparently this looks like this is assigning values to all that stuff up top. Although the problem is it looks like, I don't know how you tell, because it looks like there's 4 calls to the boxes. But surprisingly enough, there's actually a difference to the boxes, at least when looking inside a notepad. I realize it might be kind of hard to actually see in regards to that, but it's not every single box. So it's something that's not being rendered inside a notepad. And even though it visually, upon inspection, looks the same, it's different. Okay, this is unique enough. I think I might actually sit there and take a stab at this. So I'm going to pause this because this is going to be a lot of grab all this, open it up inside of Notepad++, do a bunch of copy and replace, and we'll see as to what this stuff looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this, probably put on some music, and I might even contemplate getting another cup of coffee. I wasn't expecting to sit there and get my reverse engineering hat on, but I mean, technically, would you have to do this? Not so much. You've got enough evidence that this is bad. Of course, hopefully if we go through and do this, we might get a better understanding of where this thing came from. Maybe. But, so, give me 1 second. Gonna pause. And hopefully this doesn't take all day. Okay, I gave up. Looks like if I'm interpreting it correctly, there's basically just a bunch of math functions to give a numerical answer. And those numerical answers are then converted into the character mapping. So it's like I saw examples, I think, for the math stuff of like 110, 111, 117. Don't quite think though that that's on par because they're giving was it UTF-8 answers? So you got the E with a little dot above it, which is not something in the standard English keyboard. So regardless, I think we've got enough to basically say, yeah, there's something bad here. Of course, I'm still aggravated at the fact that we can't figure out where this thing came from, since it looks like, at least from the examples that we were able to pull, This should have been kicked off by running an exe, which then would have dumped the VBS, spread it to a bunch of different locations, and then effectively it looks like, at least off the main, that it tries to reach out to a couple of different IPs and susu.linkpc.net, which I'm assuming is going to be, so this would be like maybe a rat of sorts. Although typically, well, okay, we get backdoor from Kaspersky. Spygate. But I think that we've got enough evidence here to say it's like, okay, we don't apparently have logs that tell us exactly where this crap came from. Because if I remember correctly, right? We have nothing, or we have the communications going back and forth. But then before that, we don't have anything. And then in terms of endpoint, we have all stuff on the date of, but they're an hour after. So I don't know as to whether or not if maybe this is just, you know, dude had an infected USB, plugged it in, ran with that, or like a rubber ducky. Or they downloaded something that somehow we just don't have logs for. I mean, I would have expected to sit there and see the, this type of traffic be mirrored in the perimeter firewall/proxy, but we're not seeing any of that. And this is all after the fact. I mean, unless basically the time was set up wrong. That could be something too, since I don't know how long this has been up, and as to whether or not if there's, maybe there should be something I'll raise the question, but just not at this exact moment. I'll go through and just go as it's provided. Of course, no command history. And the only thing we get is just this, which, I mean, I would love to know as to how it got on the system to begin with, but I can't seem to find that. Maybe this might be a two-parter. Maybe they've got a second stage that's in the incident responder aspect. But like I said, I think we've got enough to basically make the claim that, yeah, this stinks. This is terrible. Well, maybe not terrible. But it's definitely not good. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it's the 15th, but it's not 6:05 p.m. Define threat indicator. Oh, we don't know that AV was disabled. We don't have evidence that it's, well, go back to the first one. And there's nothing else for it. I mean, had it been a detection for the actual EXE portion, that's where it was, right? Yeah, registers the bin. One of these I could have swore showed. Or in terms of dumping it. Yeah, so there's the Wscript, and it would have been the reg service 32, then MS build, then netsh to probably sit there. Oh, yeah, right here. basically allow MS build out to the internet. Oh, here it is, files dropped. So that looks familiar. App data, local temp, injector. See users admin, app data, local temp injector. And then the other aspect is, so they basically dumped the stupid thing in the start menu as a persistence mechanism. But that's not what we got the detection on. We got the detection on the VBS. So I guess technically it could be the fact that the EXE just somehow didn't get detected. Or am I overlooking something here? Because I would assume it would be, downloads, desktop. I mean, even the same aspect of like maybe the temp, Chrome, the full-on Adobe Reader, standard VMware, and of course the always excellent semantic endpoint protection. Cripe. No, so we don't have any evidence of the EXE. It looks like just magically somehow the VBS showed up. Or maybe I'm just overthinking the stupid thing. Going from here, we're going to say unexpected or unknown outgoing traffic, because from investigation, I mean, realistically, yes. The initial alert is centered around the fact of the... Oh, I can't bring that up. So what did I quickly jot down in my notes? Close that. It was detected as Wscript.exe usage as dropper. Which, I mean, we're kind of sort of seeing that. Maybe. Oh, and of course, endpoint protection is freaking the heck out. Since I just closed out the VBS window, I was trying to do everything. But effectively, what we had with the perimeter firewall was the DanielPRD going out to 105, 103, 235, 204 on port 2017. Was it quarantined? No, it was not. Device action was allowed. And through analysis, we did find that it was malicious. And we're kind of making the assumption, because it's at this, roughly the same point for the traffic. We're going to say that it was accessed, because I don't remember the perimeter firewall saying that anything was blocked. I mean, there's no action blocked or anything else like that. I mean, the raw is empty. So I'm going to assume then that it was passed. That might be a wrong assumption in this particular case, but I mean, for what's available in terms of information, we're going to assume compromise. So yes, we do have, that might be the other aspect to look at too. Take the 105, 103, 253, 204, and let's just search for that instead. Oh wow, AV's definitely going off. It does not like something. Oh, it's just the Notepad++ backup file. Okay, it just is going to constantly sit there and... Oh no. It's trying to dump the code into... Oops. Oh, that might have set off an alarm over at for the legitimate Let's Defend people of what the hell kind of data is this guy trying to send to us? type. All right. Oh, now it comes through. Okay, that's better. That's the only thing that we've got. So the question is not asking if. It's just if it was accessed, not if there was someone else. So we're going to say it was accessed. I've already gone through and done containment. Now we add artifacts. So we have what? We've got the VBS. We have no evidence of supposedly the first stage, the EXE, assuming that's where the stuff came from. And then we have the IP address. Say C2. We grab the VBS and we switch that to MD5. Injector.vbs. I mean, realistically, that's the only other thing that we've got because we can't tie it to the core searches. We can't tie it to the news.ycombinator.com because it's an hour past this thing being run. I mean, unless it was... maybe some other aspect of like command and control. Yeah. No, okay. It's about all what we can technically prove. All right, so I'm going to job that system executed. From an unknown source. Although, technically, if we're going to do this right. So, what was the detection? 15 out of 58. So, technically, if we're going to do this right, then we need to denote the perimeter firewall first and foremost. So we got all that put in there. So at least it's the way the time frame goes. We've got that system reaching out to that IP via that port, and then we have the execution of Wscript.exe basically calling out to the injector.vbs, and then not much of anything else with the available tools. We would have to then probably just declare an incident, go through and start ripping and tearing. True positive? Yeah, we have evidence that at least for the reason as to why the rule fired, the timings might need to be adjusted on the platform. But I'll fire up Discord and basically drop that in as feedback and see as to whether or not if they meant to have the traffic actually be before the denoted execution time for Wscript. You'd think it would kind of be the other way around, but small things. They happen. Especially with the amount of, obvious work that's been done throughout all this. Here's this one. So we did get it. True positive. Check if someone requested the C2. Analyze the malware. Check if it's quarantined. Bing, bang, boom. And so no extra notes or anything else like that. No, but that's okay. So, oh, it didn't keep the extra space or the line return to have that on whatever. Okay, so that has been the thought process to go through and work from January 31st, 2021, 6:14 p.m. SOC115 Wscript.exe usage as a dropper, EventID 47, and the type was what? Malware? I don't think I grabbed that from my notes. Regardless. And then that should be it for now a while for anything in the security analyst role. Of course, now the interesting thing is I'm going to switch over to incident responder. We'll see if there's a follow-up case to try to figure out where this thing came from. But that's neither here nor there. But so hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully you've enjoyed. And with all that being said, I will see everybody on the next video.